The first cold snap of December had settled over Willow Creek, a small town where neighbors knew each other by name but had grown quieter in recent years. The air smelled of burning wood, and holiday lights flickered in some windows, but many houses remained dark, an unspoken sign of hardship. The weight of unpaid utility bills had cast a shadow over the season, dimming the warmth that once defined the community. Ethan Carter sat in his truck at the edge of town, staring at the neon sign of the utility company office. He had spent the past hour wrestling with a decision, his fingers gripping the steering wheel as memories flickered in his mind. He wasn't a man of great fortune, but he knew what it was like to live in the cold, to watch his mother shiver under layers of blankets, trying to stretch the heat through winter. He had made a promise to himself years ago: if he ever had the means, he would make sure no one in his community suffered the way his family had. It had taken years of hard work, starting with his small construction business and growing it through grit and long hours. Now, for the first time in his life, he had more than just enough. And he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. Ethan took a deep breath, stepped out of his truck, and walked into the office. The woman behind the counter, Mrs. Delaney, looked up with tired eyes. "Afternoon, Ethan," she greeted him with a weary smile. "Here to pay your bill?" He nodded but then hesitated before speaking. "Actually, I want to pay for all of them." Mrs. Delaney blinked, adjusting her glasses. "I'm sorry, what?" "For everyone in the neighborhood. Every outstanding balance. I want to pay them off." The room fell silent except for the hum of an old ceiling fan. Mrs. Delaney studied him, waiting for a punchline, but Ethan's expression was unwavering. "You're serious?" she whispered. He pulled out his checkbook. "Every account with a past due balance. Let's clear them." Tears welled in the elderly woman's eyes. "Ethan, do you have any idea what this means for these families?" Her voice broke as she turned to her computer, fingers trembling as she pulled up the accounts. One by one, names filled the screen, families she knew personally, single parents juggling multiple jobs, elderly couples on fixed incomes, young couples drowning in debt. The numbers weren't just figures, they were stories, each one carrying the weight of quiet struggles. For the next hour, Ethan signed checks, covering every overdue account. When it was done, Mrs. Delaney wiped her eyes and reached across the counter, squeezing his hand. "You're giving people more than heat and light," she said. "You're giving them hope." Ethan left the office with a sense of quiet satisfaction, but he didn't expect what happened next. Word spread faster than he could have imagined. The news reached the grocery store, the diner, the church, and soon, the entire town. People knocked on his door, some with tears, others with embraces. Strangers stopped him in the street, telling him what his kindness had meant. A single mother, Maria, found him outside the hardware store and broke down in gratitude. "I was choosing between rent and heat this month," she admitted, her voice shaking. "You saved us." An elderly man named Frank, who had been too proud to ask for help, pulled Ethan into a hug. "First warm winter in years," he said gruffly, his eyes damp. And then came the ripple effect. Inspired by Ethan's generosity, others found their own ways to give. The local diner started offering free meals to struggling families. A group of teenagers shoveled driveways for elderly residents. A retired teacher volunteered to tutor kids whose parents couldn't afford extra help. The town that had grown distant suddenly felt like home again. As Christmas Eve approached, Ethan received an invitation to the community center. When he arrived, he was met with a surprise, a gathering of hundreds, neighbors standing shoulder to shoulder, holding candles. At the front of the crowd, Maria stepped forward, holding a simple wooden plaque. "We wanted to thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "For reminding us that we're not alone, that we have each other." Ethan took the plaque, his chest tight with emotion. It wasn't about recognition, but about the warmth he felt knowing he had helped rekindle something special in Willow Creek. That night, as he stood under the glow of holiday lights, listening to the sound of laughter and carols filling the air, he realized something profound: kindness had the power to turn a cold winter into something warm. And sometimes, a single act of generosity was enough to remind people that even in the darkest times, the light of humanity never truly fades. And so, the town of Willow Creek stepped into the new year with full hearts and bright homes, forever changed by the simple yet extraordinary power of kindness.